Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, compatriots from across the planet, I am Nikhil Parekh. I shall be speaking about my book titled Love vs. Terrorism Part 1, Poems on Anti-Terror, Peace, Love, Brotherhood, as well as I shall be giving a recitation of different poems from this book of mine. So friends, let me commence with an introduction to this book of mine about the poetry book. This book, which has 50 differently titled poems, is actually part 1 of the book titled Love vs. Terrorism, 409 pages. In a planet usurped today by graveyards of terrorism, this poetic collection imparts enlightenment, optimism, courage, and an eternal desire to breathe free. God's sacred earth isn't the way it used to be. God's sacred earth isn't the way it used to be when it was created, thanks to the greed of man, which has indiscriminately torn apart every creed, color, and definition of time for the 5 alphabets called money. The devil has spread terror in the name of religion, in the name of God, most abusively, without the slightest remorse. This book brilliantly equates love and terrorism at every step and goes on to timelessly prove that no matter how ghastly terrorism perpetuates into the atmosphere, immortal love perennially triumphs over one and all on the earth. Immortal love perennially triumphs over one and all on the earth. A startling collection of anti-terror poems in an hour when the world wants them the most than anything else. Parekh's words act as a harbinger of peace to infinite masses agonizingly estranged in brutal violence and bloodshed. A must-read for every patron of global peace out there. An introduction to the book. Love vs. Terrorism unconquerably depicts at each stage that no matter how wretched the wrath of terrorism has penetrated into the planet today, love forever emerges victorious. Because God has created it as the most omnipotent panacea for one and all humanity and the living kind. As long as the earth exists, the devil would continue to exist in various forms and shapes, trying his best to insidiously harm living kind. But the power of truth, love, compassion would not only conquer it in all respects, but would continue to bond the entire planet in threads of everlasting humanity. The power of truth, love, compassion would not only conquer it in all respects, but would continue to bond the entire planet in threads of everlasting humanity. So that the best religion that pervades over one and all is the religion of humanity. This book is an unflinching salute to the chapters of love, peace, and brotherhood, which are the most efficacious panacea to conquer dastardly terrorism. I shall now commence upon recitation of different poems from this book. These poems are titled as The Terrorists Belong to No Religion, No organism is a born terrorist. Freedom, and why not we forever live in the same breath? Of course, at any juncture of existence, you can purchase this book of mine from Amazon.com. So here is a recitation of my poem, friends, which is titled, "The Terrorists Belong to No Religion." They belonged to no religion, as they solely surrendered to the religion of the devil, which ruthlessly beheaded countless innocent, infirm, and freshly born. In the name of sacred Lord Almighty, in the name of sacred Lord Almighty, they belong to no color, as they solely pledged to the color of the devil, which yearned to invidiously incarcerate every effervescent shade of life into the gallows of hopeless and haplessly stymied black. They belonged to no territory, as they solely blended with the territory of the devil, which satanically wanted to snatch, maim, bombard, and eventually merge every blissful corner of Mother Earth into its graveyards of inconsolable blood. They belonged to no language, as they solely hissed the language of the devil, which inexhaustibly plundered, rebuked, and abused the fabric of humanity and nicety with the chinks of baseless sacrifice and the corpse. They belong to no mindset, as they solely clung to the mindset of the devil, which unthinkably yearned to build the most glittering castles of gold on the foundations of innocuous bone, gory blood, and life distorted to amorphous pulp. They belonged to no atmosphere, as they solely salivated in the atmosphere of the devil, which tirelessly feasted all night and day on the stench of innocent blood, drinking, lavishing and languishing in it to lead life king size. They belonged to no roots, as they solely squandered in the roots of the devil, which executed the most terrorizing acts on all living kind, praying to the sight of fanatically splattered blood and shattered skull to give them the power to survive. They belonged to no category, as they solely rotted in the category of the devil, which wanted to rule the planet, clamped in a spurious little incapacitated fist, assassinating every source of life with treacherously lame cowardice. They belong to no caste, as they solely clung to the caste of the devil, which forlornly stymied every vibrant form of emerging life, laughed at how easily humans disintegrated into boundless bits at the tiniest of dastardly provocation. They belonged to no character, as they solely spoke the character of the devil, which believed the best integrity and the best survival was in rising above every conceivable soul on earth, if not by hook, then by hideous crook. If not by hook, then by hideous crook. They belonged to no government, as they solely stagnated in the government of the devil, which barbarously chopped off fingers, hands, feet, veins, limbs, and throats of bountiful humans at the tiniest of error, and in order to assert sanctimonious superiority. They belonged to no soil, as they solely sputtered in the soil of the devil, which constituted the granules of all hell, dungeons after dungeons of children who lay dead, dungeons after dungeons of children who lay dead just to affirm some hell of a non-existent sadistic strength. They belonged to no church. They belonged to no church, temple, monastery or mosque. They belonged to no church, temple, monastery or mosque, as they solely wept in the mortuary of the devil, inexhaustibly wanting to metamorphose the trajectory of this planet into insipid ash. The sinful wail of the blood-stained corpse. Blood-stained corpse. They belonged to no definition, as they solely endorsed the definition of the devil, which was out on a rampage, to plunder Mother Earth and its children as much as it could, taking ultimate refuge within realms of the fated carcass. They belonged to no village, as they solely inhabited the village of the devil, where each abode was a unbearably shrieking tombstone, and the clothes that everyone wore were sequined with chopped tongues, limbs, and unfinished desire. They belonged to no forest, as they solely rummaged through the forest of the devil, where all that was seen and heard was bellows of ghoulish smoke, an agonizing scream, where life was insidiously sacrificed at the altar, to immortalize the self. They belonged to no heart, as they solely slaved in the heart of the devil, which was nothing but a gorge of inexplicable sinking drudgery, and continued to meaninglessly exist without the most insouciant of beats. They belonged to no face, as they solely deteriorated in the face of the devil, which constituted of the most ridiculously non-existent vacuum that thrived on the curses given by every one of those that he had tortured and kept doing so. Hey, wait a minute. They were children of the same God as you and me were all right. Because after all, God owns the entire universe and all its life. Hey, wait a minute. They were children of the same God as you and me were all right. Because after all, God owns the entire universe and all its life. But they chose to follow the path of the devil against God's wishes. They were in fact what every single one of us in the world today hatefully addressed by the word terrorists. But they chose to follow the path of the devil against God's wishes. They were in fact what every single one of us in the world today hatefully addressed by the word terrorists. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled, No Organism is a Born Terrorist. No petal is ever born disdainfully decayed from the womb of the redolently mesmerizing and celestially effulgent flower. No fledgling is ever born a hideously treacherous vulture from the womb of the uninhibitedly ecstatic and timelessly soaring bird. No raindrop is ever born smeared with satanic blood from the womb of the impeccably glorious and fathomlessly enduring sky. No ray is ever born a mass of bedlam nothingness. From the womb of the omnipotently golden and brilliantly optimistic sun. No sound is ever born cold-bloodedly cacophonic from the womb of the vividly resplendent and ebulliently mellifluous nightingale. No flake of ice is ever born cannibalistically brown from the womb of the innocuously placid and endlessly enamoring snowball. No globule of milk is ever born sadistically venomous from the womb of the unsurpassably sacrosanct and benevolently munching cow. No mischief is ever born insidiously crucifying from the womb of the vivaciously dancing and eternally cavorting rainbow. No salt is ever born diabolically asphyxiating from the womb of the rhapsodically undulating and perennially poignant sea. No soldier is ever born a disparagingly gory traitor from the womb of the omnisciently proliferating and peerlessly blessing soil. No echo is ever born ludicrously silent from the womb of the unfathomably deep and inscrutably No echo is ever born ludicrously silent from the womb of the unfathomably deep and inscrutably reverberating gorge. No truth is ever born an egregiously marauding lie from the womb of the unconquerably omnipresent and perpetually bestowing heavens. No honey is ever born iconoclastically prejudiced from the womb of the fantastically boisterous and enchantingly exotic honey bee. No fruit is ever born forlornly deteriorated from the womb of the quintessentially mollifying and blissfully symbiotic mud. No lion is ever born mercilessly trampling from the womb of the uninhibitedly fearless and synergistically blossoming forest. No epitome is ever born lugubriously crumbling from the womb of the invincibly compassionate and inimitably towering mountain. No continent is ever born atrociously bombarding from the womb of the tirelessly panoramic and unbelievably majestic globe. No breath is ever born hissing parasitically pugnacious fire from the womb of the insupportably heavenly and insurmountably moistened nostril. No beat is ever born murderously betraying from the womb of the unassailably godly and passionately thundering heart. No beat is ever born murderously betraying from the womb of the unassailably godly and passionately thundering heart. And no organism is ever born a reproachfully indiscriminate terrorist from the womb of its unshakably priceless and altruistically blessing mother. And no organism is ever born a reproachfully indiscriminate terrorist from the womb of its unshakably priceless and altruistically blessing mother. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled Freedom. Freedom to laugh, uninhibitedly chortle, whilst embracing the fathomless expanse of the mystical valley. Freedom to talk, candidly voicing my innermost opinions, with absolutely no restraints from the conventional society. Freedom to dance, vivaciously gyrate to the enchanting beams of the milky moon, well past the heart of ravishing midnight. Freedom to socialize, blend with any organism, caste or creed that I was inevitably drawn to. Freedom to write, inundating the periphery of unfathomable bits of bonded paper with the passion circumventing my soul. With the passion circumventing my soul. Freedom to sing, coherently or incoherently humming an unsurpassable myriad of tunes, even as the world caged itself in boundaries of malice. Freedom to wink, flirtatiously philander in the eyes of heavenly desire, through the romantically enigmatic hills. Freedom to dress, enveloping my impoverished persona with the cloth rustic embellishments of my choice. Freedom to eat, feasting upon food from all quarters of the planet, as long as it was robust, as long as it was divine. Freedom to romanticize, unrelentingly fantasize into the wildest entrenchments of exoticism till times immemorial. Freedom to meditate, being profusely encompassed in whirlwinds of profuse concentration, even as a battalion of scorpions crawled down my nape. Freedom to sleep, embracing everlasting slumber in the flamboyantly flaming day, stare like an intransigent owl all throughout the resplendently starry night. Freedom to desire, handsomely floating through clouds of fabulous silk, bowing down in timid obeisance upon the feet of invincibly alluring angels. Freedom to gallop, running in rhapsodic exhilaration with the majestic winds, as the crimson fireball of sun tantalizingly set, behind the charismatic sky. Freedom to procreate, evolving countless of my own kind, magnanimously contributing my best to continue God's charming chapter of existence. Freedom to swim, voraciously pedaling through choppy fountains of salty froth, as the undulating waves of the enthralling ocean catapulted me to a land above ultimate paradise. Freedom to survive, unequivocally extracting my share of happiness from this parsimoniously lecherous society. Freedom to love, wholeheartedly accepting all with a benign heart and tumultuous passion to serve God's humanity. And most importantly, freedom to live, O Almighty Lord, making me the richest entity alive, relishing each element of your impeccable planet till the last breath I diffused, till the time I throbbed my last heartbeat. And most importantly, freedom to live. And most importantly, freedom to live, O Almighty Lord, making me the richest entity alive, relishing each element of your impeccable planet till the last breath I diffused, till the time I throbbed my last heartbeat. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled, Why Not We Forever Live in the Same Breath. So here is the recitation of this poem of mine. A different spoon for you and a different spoon for me. Why not we forever digest with the same spoon, whose metal was made of the threads of invincibly compassionate symbiotism? A different glass for you and a different glass for me. Why not we forever drink? Why not we forever drink in the same glass, whose walls were made of the fathomless entrenchments of unshakably faithful friendship? A different vehicle for you and a different vehicle for me. Why not we forever travel in the same vehicle, whose body was made of the spirit of unflinchingly unconquerable togetherness? A different plate for you and a different plate for me. Why not we forever eat in the same plate, whose base was made of the elements of perennially fructifying humanity? A different cloth for you and a different cloth for me. Why not we forever cover our shivering bodies? Why not we forever cover our shivering bodies with the same cloth, whose fabric was made of the eternally bounteous rudiments of Mother Nature? A different dwelling for you and a different dwelling for me. Why not we forever live in the same dwelling, whose roof was made of the most unassailable skies of priceless brotherhood? A different job for you and a different job for me. Why not we forever do the same philanthropic job together, whose each conceivably working hour was for the perennial amelioration of all tyrannically deprived living kind? A different path for you and a different path for me. Why not we forever walk on the same path, whose every tangible bifurcation fearlessly led to the ultimate epitome of impregnable truth and sparkling righteousness? A different tune for you and a different tune for me. Why not we forever listen to the same tune, whose every decibel miraculously spelled, whose every decibel miraculously quelled all indiscriminate terrorism and royally led all towards the path of immortal love? Royally led all to the path of immortal love. A different fantasy for you and a different fantasy for me. Why not we forever delve into the same fantasy, whose silken paradise comprised of nothing else, whose silken paradise comprised of nothing else but the ubiquitously spellbinding beats of infallible love? A different river for you and a different river for me. Why not we forever bathe in the same river, whose waters eventually melanged with the unsurpassably bestowing ocean of peace, whose waters eventually melanged with the unsurpassably bestowing ocean of peace? A different country for you and a different country for me. Why not we forever live in the same country, whose infinite foundations were erected on the ingredients of altruistic unity? A different name for you and a different name for me. Why not we forever embrace the same name, whose characters just spoke of nothing else but the indefatigably consecrating spirit of humanitarian oneness? A different religion for you and a different religion for me. Why not we forever befriend the same religion, whose boundless intricacies eventually and finally coalesced with the everlasting religion of humanity. A different inspiration for you and a different inspiration for me. Why not we forever adapt the same source of inspiration, whose fearlessly optimistic rays of divine light, whose fearlessly optimistic rays of divine light interminably perpetuated their way through the most despicable tunnels of asphyxiating pain and blackness. A different shade for you and a different shade for me. Why not we forever rest under the same shade, whose every reflection symbiotically unfold the fathomless moods of vivaciously pristine Mother Nature? A different school for you and a different school for me. Why not we forever study in the same school, whose every classroom undyingly taught the principles of triumphant selflessness? A different breath for you, a different breath for you, and a different breath for me. Why not we forever survive in the same breath? Why not we forever survive in the same breath, whose unparalleled fieriness timelessly led towards the chapters of bounteously utopian life, whose unparalleled fieriness timelessly led towards the chapters of bounteously utopian life? A different beat for you and a different beat for me. Why not we forever love in the same heartbeat? A different beat for you and a different beat for me. Why not we forever love in the same heartbeat, whose every mortal palpitation brought every living being on the trajectory of this planet closer and closer to the omnipotent Lord Divine, whose every mortal palpitation brought every living being on the trajectory of this planet closer and closer to the omnipotent Lord Divine. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, my compatriots, it truly was a stupendous privilege having given this poetry recitation to you. At any juncture of mesmerizing existence, of course you can purchase this book of mine from Amazon.com. I take this momentous opportunity to thank you from the innermost dormitory of my soul for having patronized my poetry. Thank you for listening to me.